Capital One's tech team isn't just talking about multi-agentic AI. They already deployed one, Chat Concierge for car shopping. Their tech team built in self-reflection with live API checks to help buyers find a car they love. That's how they stack. That's technology at Capital One.
I'm Josh Christensen.
And I'm David Salazar, filling in for Yasmin Gagne.
And this is Most Innovative Companies. On today's episode, the CEO of Away, Jessica Shinazi.
That's what we did when we came to market. We pushed boundaries a lot in how you can sell luggage.
Co-founder of the Swiss athletic shoe and leisure wear company On, David Allemann.
When we started out, we had a very clear vision that performance should be first, and then form follows function.
And as always, keeping tabs. But first, here's the download, the news you need to know this week in the world of business and innovation.
ABC's Jimmy Kimmel Live returned Tuesday night after being off the air for nearly a week. The controversy ignited after a comment that Kimmel made during his monologue last week regarding President Trump's response to the assassination of Charlie Kirk. The comment, which was met with criticism from conservatives and a not-so-veiled threat from FCC Chair Brendan Carr, prompted ABC parent Disney to pull the show. In his opening monologue Tuesday, Kimmel thanked his viewers, allies, and even called out the names of those on the right who came to his defense.
Maybe most of all, I want to thank the people who don't support my show and what I believe, but support my right to share those beliefs anyway. People who I never would have imagined, like Ben Shapiro, Clay Travis, Candace Owens, Mitch McConnell, Rand Paul, even my old pal Ted Cruz.
He also tearfully condemned Kirk's murder and rounded out his monologue by criticizing Trump and calling out government censorship of both comedians and journalists.
But I do want to make something clear because it's important to me as a human, and that is, you understand that it was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man. I don't think there's anything funny about it. I posted a message on Instagram on the day he was killed, sending love to his family and asking for compassion, and I meant it, and I still do. The President of the United States made it very clear he wants to see me and the hundreds of people who work here fired from our jobs. Our leader celebrates Americans losing their livelihoods because he can't take a joke. Somehow, we have to speak out against this because he's not stopping. And it's not just comedy. He's gunning for our journalists, too. He's suing them. He's bullying them. They want to pick and choose what the news is. I know that's not as interesting as muzzling a comedian, but it's so important to have a free press, and it is nuts that we aren't paying more attention to it.
But not everybody was able to watch Kimmel's return. Nexstar Media Group, which has a merger that is requiring FCC approval, and Sinclair, another owner of many ABC affiliates, continued to preempt the show and will do so for the foreseeable future. They collectively own about 22% of the media market for ABC affiliates.
Sinclair, I want to go back to the days where I don't know what Sinclair Media is. Do you remember Boris Epstein?
No, who's that?
So he's a mealy-mouthed Trump sycophant who I think is working in the administration at somewhere at this point now, but I think he was like the CEO of Sinclair or worked for Sinclair, and he would do on local news, there would be these like prepackaged Sinclair segments that he would do that would show up on these local TV affiliates that Sinclair owned, and they were just the worst thing.
They were pretty nuts. Yeah.
No riz. This guy had no riz.
And they also, it was like a thing where they had like local affiliates reading a script too, right? Like, didn't John Oliver do a segment about that at one point? I think
he did, probably. Yeah. John Oliver probably did a segment about just about anything we'll talk about. Next story. Semiconductor giant Nvidia announced Monday that it plans to invest $100 billion into OpenAI, including supplying them with data center chips. How much money has OpenAI raised at this point? Because it's absurd. Absurd, and very little revenue to speak about. The move gives the ChatGPT creator both capital and access to AI chips, in turn giving Nvidia a bigger financial stake in the AI giant. Shares of Nvidia were up nearly 4.5% following the announcement.
Meanwhile, at Oracle, the company announced Monday that it will appoint 2 co-CEOs to replace Safra Catz, Clay Magoric,
Say that 5 times fast.
and Mike Sicilia. Katz, who spent 11 years as CEO, will transition to the role of vice chair of the board. Both co-CEOs come from inside Oracle, with Magoric previously managing the infrastructure for the company's cloud platform, and Cecilia formerly overseeing industry-specific AI solutions and cloud-based applications. Oracle shares fell over 1% during pre-market trading. That's not bad. I would hope that if I got named CEO of a company, it wouldn't fall, but I'm just built different.
Do you think they have to share a desk?
That would be great. They have, like, HR has implemented a get-along sweater for when they're at odds over whatever Oracle does.
Oh my God. They have to do one-word story every time they do an all-hands.
Exactly.
All right. President Trump last week announced an increase in the employer fee for H-1B visas to the tune of $100,000, which went into effect last Sunday. It's not funny, but it's we live in the worst timeline. The fee is a one-time payment rather than an annual charge. Fees were previously set between $2,000 and $5,000 per application. Employers now must also have proof of fee payment before filing for an H-1B petition on behalf of the employee. More than 60% of H-1B workers are employed in computer and tech-related fields.
Yeah, this is not going to be great. I mean, so essentially you're saying whoever I'm hiring, on the balance sheet, they are making, like, the cost is 6 figures.
I mean, it's a drop
at a minimum.
It's a drop in the bucket for what Zuck's paying people to come work on AI at Meta right now.
Right.
So
maybe we can be more circumspect. Yeah. After a long time kicking the can, we now have more insight into the deal that will keep TikTok operating in the U.S. In an interview Sunday, President Trump said that Fox Corporation may join Oracle and the CEO of Dell Technologies in the proposed deal. And on Monday, the White House said that as part of the deal, Oracle will license a copy of the algorithm that powers the recommendations on the app. Oracle will also manage the data collected on TikTok's U.S. users. Additionally, the U.S. government will receive neither shares nor a board seat in the resulting entity that takes over TikTok ownership of the U.S. Aren't we all glad we don't have China collecting our data and instead have Chex Notes, Oracle collecting all our data?
Also, they're licensing the algorithm that serves us Chinese propaganda. What's happening?
Yeah, were we mad that the algorithm was Chinese?
I don't know. I really don't know. Mostly the algorithm just serves me this like bushcraft cooking video. So I don't know what you want from me. If there's pro-communist propaganda in there, I don't know what you want me to do about that. Anyways, comrades, let's go to the final story. And finally, during a news conference, maybe the craziest news conference I have seen.
Autism announcement.
President Trump advised pregnant women against taking Tylenol, otherwise known as acetaminophen. Trump and Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. based the advice on unproven links between Tylenol consumption and autism. The former health and science reporter in me just has been screaming like correlation doesn't equal causation in my head over and over again. It's a cliche, but it's always true. Like, there's just a fundamental misunderstanding of how observational studies work, where you're
telling me that the guy who barely believes in germ theory and runs the HHS doesn't understand how medical studies work?
I know, we're too far down the rabbit hole. Like, I'm expecting rational thinking out of irrational people, but it still just drives me crazy because it's just on par with like we have someone running Health and Human Services that has the same level of understanding of science as local news anchors who do a story about how chocolate may be good for you every time an animal study comes out. It's just, this is what we're doing now. It's, oh my God. Anyways, there's plenty of fallout from this, not the least of which was for Tylenol maker Kenvue, the consumer health arm of Johnson & Johnson, who also disputed the connection to autism because there isn't one. Allegedly. And their shares dropped 7.5% on Monday after the announcement, though it did rebound about 5% in markets on Tuesday.
It's worth noting, did we say this?
What?
Tylenol is safe and fine.
Oh, yeah. That's that which we should say. According to reputable health professionals, Tylenol is the safest and frankly, it's like honestly the only over-the-counter pain medication that pregnant women can take. So take that for what you will. And that's the news you need to know today. So, David, when you travel for work or for pleasure, do you pack the night before or frantically the morning of your flight?
I get too stressed out if I don't pack the night before.
Really?
Yeah. I want to have everything ready to go, and the last things I have to put in are like my toothbrush and stuff because, yeah, otherwise I get really stressed out.
Oh, God. I wake up the morning packing 10 minutes, just throwing shit in the suitcase.
How can you be sure you have 7 pairs of underwear for your 2-day work trip?
Well, here's the thing, David. If you're okay with the fact that you're going to have to buy a few things wherever you arrive, you could do whatever you want.
I mean, that's fair. Often, if you're, especially on a work trip, like wherever you're going, they have stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to a JW Marriott. I'll have toothbrushes or
Mr. Rockefeller.
I don't pay for it. That's where our conferences are for the Inc. 5000, where our sister company, Inc.
Classy.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
No, there's like a big trend of people on social media who are like, my flight boards in like 45 minutes. I'm going to head to the airport now. And it's like, you're dumb. Don't do that to yourself.
I'm not that extreme. Like, I'll still leave 2 hours before my flight leaves to get to the airport, but I'll start packing 2 hours and 15 minutes before my flight leaves.
Crazy, yeah. I would just forget a million things and then be screwed. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't trust myself. I respect that you trust yourself.
Oh, no, I don't trust myself. Imposter syndrome is strong. I'm just too lazy to pack ahead of time. It's just a laziness, not necessarily a belief situation. Well, we're talking about this because our first segment today is about suitcases. 10-year-old Away is a direct-to-consumer luggage brand known for its colorful hard-shell suitcases. In 2019, after raising a $100 million Series D round, the company was valued at $1.4 billion. That was before D2C winter set in. In May, co-founder Jen Rubio stepped down as CEO of the company, assuming the title of executive chair. She was succeeded by Jessica Shinazi, an alum of Dyson, LVMH, and Amazon, who had been president of Away since December. Yaz spoke with Shinazi about making the company profitable, launching soft-shell suitcases and other accessories, and moving away from D2C to sell on Amazon and at Nordstrom. Here's that conversation.
Jessica, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So you became the CEO of Away, or you joined Away as president.
That's right.
In late 2024, and you have now stepped into the CEO role this year. You have an interesting background because you worked in luxury at LVMH and then mass market e-commerce at Amazon. What lessons are you taking from your background to Away? What attracted you to the role?
You know, the thread is consumer. It's love brands and love products. It's a high sense of audience love and loyalty into all of those products. And it's also beautiful lifestyle, fun categories. It'd be in beauty, in luxury, in appliances, now in travel. And so there's that idea of innovation, of brand building that's still so relevant.
Were you an Away user before?
I was an original Away user from 2016, 2017. It truly was amazing the impact it had when it came to market.
Mm-hmm.
It was the first time you could buy a beautiful, colorful suitcase with a great DTC experience and that one single perfect suitcase. So I hopped on the OA train.
I'm still
fast.
using like a crappy Samsonite from like
we
2002.
have to change this. We have to change this. We have expanded into so many colors, partnerships, limited editions. I'm sure we can find something great for you.
So I'm curious, Away is a sort of direct-to-consumer brand, and there were so many at the time that raised a ton of money from venture capital back in the day. I think, that kind of fundraising has cooled. We're seeing a lot of firms pull back from it. What kind of challenge is that as a CEO, or how do you think about the company's growth now?
Yeah. What is so interesting about Away in 2025 is the growth that we're experiencing, but specifically, where is that growth coming from? And it's truly for us this year coming from getting our products in front of new customers in different ways. And that meant expanding wholesale, expanding distribution, thinking through marketplaces and social shopping, all of the things that are not so much different than DTC, because I think of them all as an extension of what it means to be a DTC
seen
brand.
a lot of D2C brands.
And we've seen brands go and extend their reach and their awareness in that way. But to some extent, 2025 couldn't have happened without the last 10 years of us building our audience and the relationship that we have with all our customers. So it feels like a very organic, actually, evolution of where we are this year in widening our distribution a little bit. And to your point, I think other brands are taking a similar path as well.
So tell me about your distribution strategy now. You're in Nordstrom.
Yes.
You're on Amazon.
We are.
Tell me about those decisions, where you decided to put your suitcases.
Yes.
Tell me all that.
So this year we have opened Amazon, which is going really well for us. It's a very natural fit. There's over $1 billion worth of luggage sales on Amazon. And Away was one of the top search terms in luggage even prior to us joining the platform. So that demand was there. The customer was waiting for us with a degree of anxiety on when are you coming to the platform, right? And so that was Amazon capturing that existing demand. Nordstrom, which we also opened a few months ago, is very much a full circle moment. We had a sold out pop-up in 2018 at Nordstrom, and it feels so good being able to re-extend our distribution. We're in over 90 doors this year. It's beautiful locations in which you get to go and touch the product, to see the colors, to see the textures and the finishes, etc. The difference between those two is in one, we really are tapping into that existing customer. In the other example with Nordstrom, we're going after locations where we might not have stores, where customers might not know of us yet. And so we're really putting the brand physically, tangibly in front of other net new customers. And then we also have Dick's Sporting Goods, which is a more niche specialty retailer.
Yeah.
But we have such an amazing sports collection, collegiate collection, family travel and kids collection that lends itself so well to their customer base. And the theme behind all of this is that idea of incrementality, of meeting the customers where they are and continuing to truly think about how do we serve the brand and the product in a way where we're not bringing the customers to the website, we're bringing the website, the brand, the experience to the customer where they already are.
Have you found that sort of different demographics are now finding your product?
Absolutely. And Away is a really interesting positioning because we see it as a core millennial darling, right? Within that, we are able to kind of flex up and down really organically as well. So we see a lot of boomers who are finding the brands with a lot of love behind it. Because it's seamless travel, it's really smart features. And then we're leaning really heavy into Gen Z and new customer demos as well, who are finding us through our social media presence, through the partnerships that we announced, and who did not know about the brand until this year, but they're coming through different pathways into the brand outside of the website.
Have you seen different customer behavior when it comes to Gen Z?
The entry points are different. I think we used to focus a lot on discovery through paid search and your traditional kind of SEO-led paid search model in which you're going to
those are
start
all
on
a
Google,
disaster right now.
It's changing fast. We can talk about that for sure. And that in itself is changing in the way our customers are starting their customer journeys. And they're starting them on Amazon as a big search engine. They're starting them on AI recommendation engines
Yeah.
with a lot more two-way conversations. And then a lot, they're starting them on social media. And it's a lot of gaining that mind share through TikTok browsing and what are people wearing and what are people talking about. And so how do you actually take them at that stage and then build them through the whole funnel and have them convert them on your site?
Are you profitable?
We are not sharing our...
People who don't share are not profitable. I really believe this.
I will tell you this. We're having a great year. And so although we're not sharing specific data, I can share with you, we just closed Q2, we're up double digits year on year. We're seeing amazing metrics in new customer acquisition. All of the big bets that we're taking this year, they're working. We're having a good year, but I will leave it at that.
What's it been like, becoming a CEO from a previously founder-led company? I think Jen Rubio and Steph Corey were kind of front and center of this brand for a really long time.
Yeah, and they poured so much of, I think, their vision even into where we're going today. And it's exciting to be a part of that chapter. And when I joined as president in December of last year, I spent a lot of time with Jen to truly understand where we want to take this together. And to really align on what are those big bets and what are the big transformations that we do want to take in 2025 and beyond. And we still work extremely closely together.
Now, you mentioned a bunch of partnerships. And you've had some with everyone from Rashida Jones to the New York Liberty.
Yes.
What have been your most successful ones, and what makes a good partnership?
Yeah. Let me first start by, I couldn't really answer you without saying that we just announced our most recent partnership yesterday, our partnership with Sabrina Ionescu from the New York Liberty, which we're so incredibly excited to partner with in a multi-year-long partnership, in a partnership in which she's going to build her own capsule collection with us that will exclusively launched on awaytravel.com next year. We are supporting her foundation efforts, and we're making sure that her colleagues at the New York Liberty continue to travel in style with Away product as the official luggage partner of the New York Liberty. So that's very fresh. And for us, it's truly important for us that we're able to champion women athletes, and specifically athletes who are continuing to push boundaries of what's possible in their field. And I take this back as that's what we did when we came to market. We pushed boundaries a lot in how you can sell luggage. It was not very fun, very colorful, very interesting, I think, before. And we truly reinvented that. And for us, what makes a good partnership tick is this. It's that authenticity. It's that alignment of values and shared causes that's important to both us and the partner. Now, we do multiple types of partnerships. We have partnerships in which we collaborate on products. We have more brand-led, partnership-led campaigns. We do social media partnerships. So it's a core part of the strategy, and it takes a lot of different shapes and flavors.
You launched soft-sided luggage last year.
Yes.
I feel like the hard shell Away is so iconic or like recognizable. Soft-sided luggage sort of puts you into very direct competition with another category. Why did you enter that product category, and what other categories do you think are sort of critical for Away to enter?
Yeah, when you look at the market, it's really split into hard shell and soft shell.
Are you a hard shell or a soft shell?
I'm a hard shell because I'm an original Away customer. So I've been a hard shell for a long time. And truly customers are split in the US, and it's about 50-50. A lot of different customers have different kinds of preferences as far as what they like. You have the sturdiness and the resistance of your hard shell. You can squeeze in like a little more sometimes in your soft shell. So are you a soft shell person?
I'm a cheap shell person. I'm not.
Again, we're going to have to bring you into our store and give you a luggage makeover. So we went into this with the same exigence of quality and craftsmanship that we build in our hard shells. And I fundamentally believe that our soft shell product is one of the best soft shell product on the market. It's very smartly designed. It's everything that you love about our hard shell. So our really quiet 360 wheels, our super great trolley handles, a lot of internal organizations, etc., with the format that you might prefer as a soft shell person. So that's why we went there. It's a large market to bring customers into the brand. And interestingly, customers who come into the brand through that, then they convert to hard shell and vice versa as well, right? Like, so you're building all of those craft pathways that are super interesting.
Tell me about your pricing strategy.
Yeah, I think that we have always had a premium positioning in the market as a true reflection of the quality, the durability, the craftsmanship, and with the warranty and the insurance that you have, that when you're buying an Away suitcase, you're an Away customer for life and we'll take care of you. And so within that, our price point, they start at $265 for a carry-on, $295 for a bigger carry-on, which is our number one bestseller, which is, I think, a very attractive price proposition. And then we go up based on features, sizes. We sell everything from a carry-on to a large to a trunk size, and then different formats. So we have polycarbonate, we have aluminum, and very excitingly, we are launching a completely new format, which is a bridge between polycarbonate and aluminum in the next couple of weeks, called Aluminum Edge, which is launching very soon into market. It's everything that you like about a polycarbonate suitcase with reinforced aluminum edges to really add that elevated touch of the aesthetic of aluminum. That's so beautiful. Stay tuned for that. And so the pricing strategy is truly building the proposition based on features. So is it a bigger size? Does it have more feature? What kind of materials are you going to have in the product? This year, in 2025 particularly, with sort of everything that's happening into the US customer wallet, we are very proud to continue maintaining the price point that we have. And we have not taken a price increase in the last couple of months, for example, when we've seen a lot of other consumer brands having to increase their prices.
Is that because of good margins?
We operate a healthy business, so our margins are where we need them to be, but our margins are also challenged similar to a lot of other consumer brands this year with what's happening in the world and tariffs, etc. And so within that, we have great partners and supplier partners that are able to take some risk to continue serving the best possible pricing and luggage to the customers.
That was going to be my next question. How have you been affected by tariffs?
Yeah, like every other consumer brands, we have been impacted in some ways. The commitment to our customers to continue to offer a great product primed for us above all else. So on the back, on our operations, we've tried to mitigate as much as possible some of that impact and truly try to understand what is the short-term impact, what is going to have to be a long-term impact, etc. But on the front end to the customer, we have stood by our price promise of providing that great luggage and not increasing those prices.
Away obviously had some challenges during the pandemic. No one was
travel company.
No one was
turns
traveling.
Out.
What did it take to reignite that growth? Did you have to pull any levers to kind of make it happen?
So I only joined a year ago, but I will tell you about what I'm so admirative about Away during the pandemic is instead of being a brand that kind of lost its way during the pandemic, it actually built a level of resilience that we still carry through into the business today. And what that means is that we diversified our product assortment into bags and accessories, for example. What it meant is that we diversified our supply chain at a time where everyone was dealing with massive supply chain shortages or freight issues in the world, right? And so today, when we have to weather storms, we're equipped to do that because it's not the first time that we're facing operational adversity in some ways. And that also carries in, I think, the culture and the people and their ability to, when there's a challenge that's unexpected, pivot really fast with a sense of agility and truly recover from it. And so from then, after the pandemic, we've had years of revenge travel. Everyone wanted to travel back again.
God, inflation got so expensive.
And but to that point, it also changed how people traveled, right? Yeah. It's not anymore only plane travel. It's a lot of road trips. It's plane travel that's coming back. And it has in turn forced us to also adapt to our assortments and make sure that we have the right products for all of those different ways of traveling as well.
Tell me about expanding your offerings beyond suitcases. What categories did you expand to? Which ones have been successful? And then what are you going to expand to?
Yeah. Originally, that one single perfect suitcase. 10 years later, almost 10 years later, we have a very wide assortment of products that take you further on the go. And at the core of that is that the customers of 10 years ago, they're not living the same life today. They're 10 years older. They might have family. They might have kids. They have different kinds of hobbies. They travel for work in different ways as well. And that has been the thread and the compass to our design team around what do we need to serve them with? And so within that, we have an amazing family travel collection. That's everything from amazing diaper bags. Truly, I say that as a mom of young kids. Amazing diaper bags to a kids collection that we've launched this year, sold out of true luggage for kids, kid size, little carry-ons in fantastic colors and attach to that kids' backpacks and lunch boxes, for example. And I think it's such a fun example of truly kind of us understanding who is our customer and how they're changing their daily lives and ways of traveling and coming up with everything that they love about Away, adapted to their new lifestyle. If you've caught our kids campaign in New York in our stores, all over our stores actually, it's kids of Aways. It's the kids of our employees that we brought into the office and were able to
Are your
shoot the
kids in the campaign?
I was living in Chicago at the time. We shot the campaign in New York. Next year, absolutely, to make their modeling debut in that way, 100%. So that's an example of, I think, an assortment evolution that feels very natural. We also take the approach of, we know we're really, really good at smart design. And that means truly features that are going to make that travel pain point that everyone is experiencing a lot more seamless, right? And so how do we take that mindset, that framework, and we adapt it to other bags or accessories? We launched a great gym collection with dedicated spaces for your racket, for example, for sport shoes inside of it. And it's all of those like such thoughtful compartments where I'm going to put my water bottle, my laptop. Today, people are living multiple, they're living multiple lives. They need one single backpack to take them from work to workout to on the weekend on the go, right? And so that's what's guiding a lot of our product expansion.
Now, generative AI is impacting everything. I'm guessing, like every company, you're probably using it for customer service and improved efficiency in the office. But tell me if you're using it in any other way. Is it, helping out with design, for instance?
Yes. I'm very, very proud with the approach that we have taken to AI as a consumer goods company, truly because it's still in the infancy for so many consumer companies to understand how to scale it or what are the business cases that are going to really maximize the outputs, or even the tech and the vendor partners that are going to be the big players, right? Like there's a lot of, I think it's still very fragmented today. What we've done is a couple of things. One, we've set up an infrastructure around privacy and what we can do and cannot do to make sure that we are operating and playing with AI in a safe and compliant environment. The second thing is I really wanted AI for us to be an opportunity to upskill all of our talent. And so we have implemented mandatory AI training for 100% of our corporate office to truly feel empowered into getting on with the tools and the hacks and the tricks into improving their daily productivity. And then third, we have implemented a lot of business cases that go beyond CX and support across the organizations. And right now we are letting all of the functions decide, what are my pain points? Where do I see friction? And how can AI potentially help? And then bring that forward, having the learnings and then scale those learnings. And so examples include user research. We've been able to lead way more volume of user research and then synthesize those findings extremely fast. We've been able to multiply the number of A/B testing we do on a digital product category. And again, issue those recaps and implement them extremely fast. We operate one of the best-in-class warranty policies in the space. We have built an AI agent that is able to process all of the claims that we get, which was a very manual process before that. On the creative side, we are starting to use it for copywriting iteration. So not so much at all, actually, replacing the creativity that's coming from your creative team and your brand team, but more around little optimizations to make sure that it's good for a specific channel or another channel, right? And it's those kind of like little wins that are a huge gain of time for everyone.
Now, Away's been in business for 10 years. What's the next 10 years look like? And is there a bold idea that you're pushing to kind of transform this company?
I appreciate that. 10 great years full of learnings in the back. And why I joined is because I think we haven't seen anything yet. And there's so much continued growth and potential in this brand. It's such a strong love brand that has a very strong license to play in so many different spaces. And you'll see a lot of that even in the short term next year. So for us, it's going to be anchored into product innovation, product expansion, both in the travel category and potentially beyond as well. We're going to continue the work we've been doing around distribution. We are in talk with more partners who want to carry the brand and introduce the brand to new customers. More partnerships. Going cross-border is something that's really exciting to us. So many, again, top-line big growth opportunities ahead.
So I actually was going to ask, do you have an international expansion strategy? What does that look like?
We currently operate 2 global stores. We have a store in Toronto in Canada and then a store in London. Both are doing really well. And it's a really interesting way to not only serve American tourists who are visiting those countries, but also get to know...
Do you find a lot of your customers are just U.S. tourists?
We have a lot of U.S. love and recognition here, right?
Yeah.
But it's also a great way to actually introduce the brand to domestic markets over there. So we're going to double down on making those stores even bigger and continuing to truly cultivate the awareness in those markets. And then next year, you will see us also entering other international markets.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, Jessica. This was great.
So much fun. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break and be back with Yaz's conversation with David Allemann, co-founder of On. "15-year-old Swiss athletic shoe and leisure company, On, did the almost impossible. Found a way to compete with the likes of Nike and Adidas in a crowded athletic shoe market. Now the company controls 6.6% of the performance running shoe category in the United States. In 2021, the company went public on the New York Stock Exchange. Yaz spoke with co-founder David Allemann about competing with big incumbents, getting an investment from Roger Federer, and the company's innovative physical retail strategy. Here's that conversation.
I'm excited to talk to you in part because my husband is at Harvard Business School, and last week his case study was about On and On's shoe subscription program. But before we get to that, I want to talk a little bit about all of the steps you all took to get the business where it is today. So let's talk about marketing first. You know, On's initial success stems in part from grassroots marketing efforts. But last year you signed a multi-year partnership with Zendaya, and now you're involved with FKA Twigs too. Tell me about how your approach to marketing your products has changed over the years.
I mean, a lot. I mean, at the beginning, we were a very, very small brand, starting with an incredible innovation. And I think the biggest thing that we had going for us, and I show you one of our first prototypes. So that looks quite old now. But we had a very visible technology, and showing the technology, of course, made everyone curious. And so that was our initial marketing campaign, that the technology is so visible. So people wanted to try it, said, wow, that feels so light, feels like a cloud sometimes. And so that was the initial phase. And so it was really, and has always been, a grassroots brand that pretty much grew through the community. So that's how we got a following of millions. But then sometimes you get lucky, and part of this community are also people like Roger Federer, who discovered us, or Cynthia, who discovered us. And so you enlist superfans, and so it was quite organic.
So I want to talk a little bit about your approach to wholesale. You were up against incumbents with big accounts, at wholesale places. I'm thinking of Nike and Adidas. But you took a really interesting approach to ensure that those wholesalers were not discounting your product initially, at least. And you also sort of innovated when it came to payment methods and manufacturing methods, so you didn't hold excess inventory. Tell me a little bit about that strategy.
Now, for us, it was very important from the beginning to work with the best specialty run retailers. They have been our allies. And so we really made sure that they are the best ambassadors of our product, because if a new technology comes to market, you could be seen by runners as a gimmick. And so, of course, they ventured out with us over many launch runs. And so we made sure that they fell in love with our shoes. And so they really became our super ambassadors. And so for us, it has been incredibly important over the last 15 years to support specialty running, but then all our wholesale retailers to build the brand, and they have been incredible allies. So we are very much committed to wholesale.
I want to talk a little bit about your premium positioning. I would say your sneakers are sort of on the higher end of pricing, compared to like a Nike or Adidas where they have really cheap and really expensive ones. Tell me about that kind of brand positioning.
I think we're an innovation brand, so we came with an incredible innovation with Cloud Tech, but then now also with Cloud Tech Face, with Light Spray. We probably talk a bit later about that. So we're really investing in innovation. And I feel over the last 15 years, we probably also have seen something where sports products went from just equipment to incredible performance products, but even beyond that, really becoming something that is becoming part of your uniform, part of your identity. And so I feel that's uplifting the whole category really now to lifestyle, but with a performance core. And that uplifting gives a brand like On an opportunity to build an absolute premium positioning. At the intersection, of course, between performance and then also design, which is an important DNA strand for us.
So tell me about your approach to design. I mean, what does your design team look like and what is your philosophy around it?
When we started out, we had a very clear vision that performance should be first and then form follows function. So that's also a really Swiss thing. We're a brand from Switzerland. So if you think about typography, Helvetica, that's also typography where form follows function. And so we wanted to be a very clean brand, a very minimalist brand. And so that infused our whole design philosophy. There have been brands in computers, of course, that entered a complete new aesthetic of performance in computers that at some point was probably over-designed as well. And the same we experienced as well when we started in 2010, that a lot of running shoes had been over-designed. So we took a completely opposite approach, and I think that's present in our design philosophy. We've then created around that an amazing team of now probably 200 creatives and designers at On that are fully living that DNA, not just in footwear, but also in apparel.
What do you mean by over-designed? Can you give our listeners examples here?
Often when it comes to performance products, think for example, sports cars. The tendency for designers is I just decorate. I add elements. I add a spoiler. I add a thing there. I add a thing there. And the outcome is ultimately the attempt of performance design, but it's actually not adding to performance because it adds weight to a car or to a running shoe. And so actually we feel the best performance design is to take things away, to make it more minimal, to bring it back to the core. And so if you look at some of our shoes, it's very minimalistic and really focusing on the design. So that's, for example, our Cloud Boom Max that just came out. And so the DNA of form follows function is at the core of On.
You now have standalone stores as well, and I want to talk about the design of those stores, but also your decision to open them. Tell me what's behind that strategy.
We became a brand that connects to consumers directly as well. So in parallel to wholesale, we also started our digital connection and our e-com channel to consumers. And so that was in the early days, but now we feel our community grew a lot. And so in many cities around the world, we have an incredible community, a lot of run clubs, a lot of athletes that want to more closely connect with the brand as well. And we still feel, if you think about city centers around the world, these are still locations where you go to, where you have a memory of that city center, where you meet with community. And so we want to be present in communities around the world. So that was the inspiration. And then we opened the very first store actually during COVID at Lafayette Street in New York. So that was a bold move, and we tried to innovate even in retail.
So tell me about that innovation. What does that look like?
So we felt when you go to a sports store, often you enter that sports store and you're greeted by a sales associate, and then you basically tell her your size, and then she vanishes to the back room, and then 10 minutes later she's coming back. You have a shoe, it's probably not the right size. She vanishes again. And so you're spending 20 minutes there, boxes are piling up, and you feel, I probably should have just bought on the website.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to turn this around and going from actually just transaction really back to the interaction. And so we invented something which we call the magic wall. So you have a big, big wall when you're coming into On stores with all our shoes. And then we have a little magic trick, just kind of with a little pull, this magic wall opens, and behind each shoe, you have all the sizes of that shoe. So within seconds, you have that shoe on your feet. So a very simple idea, again, simple innovation, but which is completely transformative to the experience of consumers.
That makes a lot of sense. You know, you've expanded your line quite a bit. I was looking on your site. You have accessories. You even have things like ribbed dresses, which you obviously don't necessarily play sports in. Tell me how you think about entering new categories and what that playbook looks like.
For us, it's important that we're a brand that is really part of your overall life, because I feel sports and everyday life are more closely connected than ever. Doesn't just happen on the weekend like it used to be, but now, especially also after the last few years and the pandemic, you go very fluidly between work, life, sports. And so we immerse ourselves into that, because our core mission is what we call to ignite the human spirit through movement. We feel when you move, when you run in the morning, or you go on a hike, or you do some classes, something happens to your mind as well. You're more awake, you're probably a little bit more optimistic, you potentially have new ideas, or just a very calm mind. And so really being there for our community, whether that's now in footwear or whether that's in our newest training gear that we just launched with FK Twigs, it's really a holistic sports brand that supports you in your everyday activities.
That makes a lot of sense. What categories are you going into next? Can you share anything?
Apparel is an incredible, important category for us. It's growing very, very fast. So we just had in the last quarter 75% growth year over year in our apparel category. And of course, retail, what we just talked about, and apparel is connected as well. Because if you want to really show apparel, you also have to be very, very present with your own retail to show the whole appearance of your collection. So we built our apparel and our retail in parallel. And I feel that works very well. We're seeing a lot of our footwear customers and our footwear community also now walking out of our stores with an apparel piece. And when you go, for example, to a gym, especially in the US, you used to see a lot of on shoes. Mm-hmm. Now more and more you're seeing us growing from toe to head, really to the full body with on footwear and on apparel.
On your company website, it says that 33% of materials used in top-selling styles in 2023, so that's a lot of caveats, were from recycled or renewable sources. As the company expands, how are you thinking about sustainability?
Yeah, so it's a super important topic for us, because we want to be the most premium global sports brand, really rooted in performance design and sustainability. And so we think about that over 3 horizons. The first horizon is really being very selective on materials, especially recycled materials. And what you just mentioned, we're making huge progress. So for example, polyamides, polyesters are already in the mid-80s of just fully recycled materials. But then I think a second horizon is that we're even developing our own sustainable materials. And so, for example, we felt it's time to suck bad clouds out of the air to create good clouds, which is a material which we call clean cloud. And so it's really coming from carbon emission, and then through a chemical process, we create the base ingredients again to do amazing foams. And so already 11% of our foams are made from clean cloud. So that's a second horizon to create, through innovation, our own materials. And then I think a third horizon, even more ambitious, to change our production methods. So when you think about light spray, that of course Fast Company has covered as well, that's a unique production process where we pretty much spray a shoe in 3 minutes. And so just kind of the amount of reduction of parts that goes in a shoe, the fact that there's not a big supplier industry where you also have to move all these parts, and that you can even nearshore then the production is really reducing the footprint of production up to, according to our calculation, 75%. So that's a big new initiative that we're having, and we're very, very optimistic that this contributes to be a very, very sustainable brand.
You also launched a subscription program for one of your sort of super sustainable shoes. Tell me a little bit about the shoe, and then tell me a little bit about the reasoning behind that subscription program.
Absolutely. I mean, the program is called Cyclone. And for us, it was an interesting experiment, a large-scale experiment to basically see, hey, wouldn't it be fantastic that you don't store old shoes in your closet for potentially years, give them back to us? So that was the base idea. And so we iterated and innovated on that a lot. And so ultimately we came out with a proposition basically saying, hey, you know what? You actually don't own the shoe. So you have to give it back to us to get the next shoe. And the interesting thing about running shoes is, of course, when you run a lot, they of course degrade. So it's a perishable good in a certain sense, not less like fashion shoes that you keep for ages. And so the idea has been, hey, you run through the shoes literally and then give it back to us because you don't own them, and we send you a new one. So we have several thousand subscriptions now of very committed runners. So we learned a lot through that, and we also maintain that program. And it's one approach to really make sure that shoes come back to us. But we're also working on other approaches to make sure that without even doing a subscription program, people have the option to return shoes.
And, you know, you can, I think, return shoes every 6 months or after running a certain amount of distance. And I'm guessing the shoes, if you're doing the subscription program, must be pretty beat up by then. I mean, it's like the thing with running shoes in general, people replace them all the time. How do you think about durability?
I mean, it's just, running shoes have a certain lifetime. So depending on also on your running style, between something like 400 to 700 miles probably. So of course they come back. And so then we have the opportunity to fully recycle that shoe and actually create new materials out of it that go back into our shoes. So it's really, as the name says, a cyclone where materials come back to us. We realized that this is probably very interesting.
And you get to use those materials, right?
We get to use those materials. So we recycle, we get new materials, and then it goes into new parts that end up in our shoes. It's probably a program that's very attractive for very, very ambitious runners who know that they're going to run through shoes a lot. For somebody who's more a little bit occasional runners, we also have to develop other kinds of programs where you can just bring the shoe back despite the fact that you actually owned it and that it was not our shoe at the end anymore.
To my mind, you've sort of had two really massive business milestones, and I want to talk about both of them. The first is, what did that investment and endorsement from Roger Federer do for the company? How did that change the business?
When Roger, it was in our year 8 of existence. So we had already scaled to more than 40, 50 countries. So the brand had already taken off. But then something happened. So Roger was actually secretly inviting us or not so secretly inviting us to a date, because he posted on Instagram from the Roland Garros, the tournament, him fully in on-shoes. And so we said, hey, that's an invitation to a date, and Switzerland is small. So some of our friends who know us all said, hey, we set up a dinner date for you. And so we went to dinner date and we just hit it off because Roger is amazing, and we had so many angles from performance innovation to lifestyle to athleticism. So we really hit it off. And so he decided to want to be part of the brand. But Back then we said, hey, we're a very unclassical company, we're an innovation company, and couldn't we innovate on this a bit as well? Because instead of in a classical athlete endorsement, us giving you money, why don't you give us your money? and that's exactly what he did. So he invested in On and showed his full support for On already in year 8. And so we have become co-entrepreneurs. And so Roger is here in the Blue Library when he basically announces that he retires. But during his retirement now, he spends a lot of time in our lab as well, working with teams on products and, of course, on marketing as well. So for us, it has been also, of course, a huge awareness boost.
You know, in terms of the awareness boost, how did that translate into sales? Or, you know, did you see a lot more interest in a certain sector like tennis? What did that look like?
Yes, of course, we saw a lot more interest in tennis. And then together also with our young athletes like a Ben Shelton and an Iga Swiatek, who just won now the Wimbledon finals, and João Fonseca, the rising star from Brazil. It created an incredible momentum. And so we went in with kind of some of the absolute culture carriers. Then we also created very iconic footwear, but also very iconic apparel. And then it didn't hurt that Zendaya was doing the Challengers movie, where she actually played also in tennis shoes. And so that all came together to build a great momentum for tennis. Actually, just outside of the building here where I'm sitting, we hosted a tennis tournament for Zendaya and Roger. They played in air tennis against each other.
Yeah, that was in one of your ad campaigns.
Yes, because Zendaya, of course, was so good in air tennis for her movie that she actually had almost the same good moves as Roger. And so she actually won the air tennis match.
It would probably be pretty unfair to make them compete at real tennis, though.
Yeah.
The second business milestone I want to talk about is you going public in 2021. Tell me about why you wanted to go public and also how that's changed the way you run the business.
We had an incredible growth phase in the first 11 years. And so having the ability for access to capital and also having access to some of the best investors in sports and the deepest investor pool, especially also on the New York Stock Exchange where we're listed, was really important for us because our ambition is very bold. So when we went public in 21, we had a turnover of around 750 million. Now we're approaching 3 billion Swiss francs, so north of 3 billion US dollars this year. So our ambition is very high. And then having the ability and the flexibility to be a listed company is important for that growth. At the same time, we're very much focused on creating the next, and that is long term. So how do we build the next sport? How do we build the next category like apparel? How do we build the next geography? How do we go from e-com now also to retail? So you always plant new seeds. So that's not something that you do just with a short-term perspective on your next quarterly results, but that's very much kind of the DNA of a founder-led company that looks at the very, very long-term perspective of the brand that we want to build.
We've seen a boom in run clubs. I think a lot of people now meet their boyfriends or girlfriends through them, which is not how I would do it. How have you benefited from those, or have you seen a benefit from those?
Yeah, I mean, run clubs are literally the new speed dating. And so we are seeing an incredible amount of people that join the on-run clubs. So I think the one in Portland is now the biggest in the city. And so we're very proud about that.
Have you seen a bump in sales?
We definitely have seen an incredible growing running community that is connected to On. And of course, that's a leading indicator also for wider distribution and wider adoption of our brand.
What is your favorite On product?
My favorite On product is always the newest product because we work so hard on the newest babies, like kind of now the Cloud Boom Max or the Light Spray shoe. that, of course, as founders, very focused on product innovation as well, give birth to these babies. They're our favorite products.
What makes them different from the others?
So it's either a unique feel, like, for example, also now in the Cloud Surfer Max with CloudTech Face, which is the newest iteration of our CloudTech technology, so constantly evolving, never standing still.
And what is your best-selling product?
So our best-selling product is not just one, but we have now 9 franchises, individual franchises that each contributes more than 5% to our top line.
Wow.
So it's not just a one-trick pony, and I think that's important. On is a very resilient brand that has 9 different franchises that are very meaningful in footwear, but then also now apparel, even accessories. So we're really building out our product line.
Well, this was great. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. I'm not going to lie, I've been a Hoka girl for a long time, but I am in the market for some new shoes, and maybe you've convinced me to try on.
Fantastic. So now that, was it your boyfriend had...
Husband, yeah.
Your husband had the Harvard business case. It's probably the right moment.
Exactly.
Very good.
All right,
Super. Thanks a
cool.
lot. This was fun.
Okay, I'm back with David, and it's time to wrap up the show with Keeping Tabs. This is where each one of us shares a story, trend, or piece of pop culture we're following right now. David, it's just you and I. No
Whoa.
Yaz, even though she did the former 2 segments. She's somewhere right now.
No girls allowed.
No girls allowed. All the boys in this podcast room is a song that's royalty free. I was going to start singing a copyrighted song, and then I was like, wait.
It's fair use.
Is it?
I don't know.
I guess
assume
this
it
qualifies
is.
as parody.
It's like, you know, how everyone uploads songs to YouTube, and it's like, I don't own this copyright, so it's totally fine for me to be posting
It
it.
just demonetizes you, and I don't want to be demonetized. I need that money.
Yeah, that's true.
David, what are you keeping tabs on?
You know, I'm back on my Great British Bake Off bullshit.
Oh,
You know
it's
what?
back.
It's so back. It's there. I'm pleased that I got to watch 2. I actually still have to finish the 3rd episode. There are 3 episodes already. There's a 4th one coming on Friday. And I missed it. I missed the classic tropes of older guy who really doesn't have a great handle on his baking and can't really hack it for too long. Guy with Danish grandmother who there's a guy on this
Guy
season,
with Danish grandmother.
There's literally, I don't know why they're so thrilled by this, but like he must not have much else going on because they've mentioned his Danish grandmother like every single time they reference him. And there was a challenge where they had to make like a landscape cake, and he made his Dutch granny's cottage.
Oh, that's adorable.
Sure. Like, yes, it is. It's very sweet,
I do love the archetypes that you have. You always have like sassy auntie, young bro who you're like, that guy is a baker, and he's like, oh, I love soccer or football, I guess. And bacon bread.
I don't know if there is a bro this season.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm trying to like
there's always
rack
at
my
least
brain.
There's always at least 3 gays.
There are a lot of gay guys on this one, which is always exciting, honestly.
They're always the best.
There was a great conversation where Noel Fielding. Noel Coward.
Noel Coward. Noel Coward. Noel Fielding.
Noel Fielding asked one of the contestants, like, oh, so what do you do if you get a Paul Hollywood handshake? And he says, oh, I'll call my boyfriend just to see if we're good if it goes further than that. Which is great.
There was a great, I forget his name, but he was Eastern European and gay last season. I'm gonna get canceled for this. I'm saying things glowingly, but like
it's fine. I don't remember. I sort of like memory hole all the Great British Bake Off.
Yeah,
stuff.
they sort of just fade into obscurity after a while because it's just such a nice soft blanket of a show.
Yeah, it's great.
I've been watching so much TV recently.
Good for you.
Catch up.
What have you been keeping tabs on? TV?
Well, no, I'm going to talk about something else, but I have been
Okay.
watching, but now it's just reminded me, I've been watching Task, which is excellent.
Yeah, Task, I've heard is good. I want to watch Only Murders in the Building and catch
It's
up.
good this season.
Who's the big star this season?
There's Christoph Waltz,
Oh.
Renee Zellweger,
Oh.
Beanie Feldstein's in it.
Oh.
Those are some of like the cameo one. Christoph Waltz is very funny.
I love him. He really has never matched
Taya
up
Leone. Taya Leone's in this season.
Eh.
Oh, I like Taya Leone. She's good.
Okay,
Bobby Cannavale's in it. Oh, I love Bobby Cannavale.
Oh yeah, he is good.
Yeah.
All right, that's a solid cast. I've also been watching the show that is really bizarre and really funny. It's like a stop motion animated show on Adult Swim. It's called Women Wearing Shoulder Pads.
I haven't heard about this at all.
It's cool. It's this guy Gonzalo Cordova, I think, who wrote on like a few shows like Tuca and Birdie.
The name's so familiar.
And it's like a Spanish language stop motion animated show about like this woman who's trying to build a guinea pig, like goes to Ecuador to try and build a guinea pig empire by selling them as pets, right? Because they eat cuy in Ecuador. And so she's like trying to like market them as cuddly pets.
Yeah.
And it's just it's really well done, and every episode's like 11 minutes, but it's very much like sort of like Almodovar movie parodies in each episode, and it's amazing.
That's cool.
What are you keeping tabs on?
Ned Fulmer's back, baby.
Oh my god! Ah, the wife guy, try guy!
The ex-wife guy. So for those of you who don't know about the Try Guys situation in 2022, one of the 4 at that point Try Guys, there's only 2 left now because Eugene left. Ned Fulmer cheated on his wife, who was also on their channels, Ariel Fulmer, with one of his producers / employees, since he owned the company, the Try Guys. And it basically blew up their whole channel in 2022. I profiled the Try Guys on the show about a year ago, almost exactly a year ago, last September. Go back and listen to that episode. We talk all about it.
It was a good conversation.
Yeah, it was fun. Keith and Zach, who are the remaining Try Guys, are really interesting and thoughtful, and they really got kind of like their channel.
Really
got,
the
like,
bye guys, if
destroyed.
there are only 2 of them.
Yeah, it's sort of the bye guys, yeah. Which is great, which I support.
The show is Rock Bottom with Ned Fulmer.
The
right?
show is called Rock Bottom with Ned Fulmer. He launched a new YouTube podcast series that nobody was asking for, and his first episode was with his ex, Ariel Fulmer, and they talked about the cheating scandal. They have kids together, so like they're co-parenting. They're not together. I know that's what everyone was looking for. The thing that got me most about it, and yes, I did watch all of it at 2 times
I'm sure
speed.
you did.
It was an hour-long
It
conversation.
meant you could watch it twice in the same amount of time.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, I had to do the rewatch. The thing that is crazy about that conversation is you would think it'd be like, oh, it's this guy talking about to his now like ex and his co-parent about this scandal. This is going to be juicy. It was so boring. It honestly, and it's just like I feel bad for her. He's like obviously like in it, like, you know, whatever. People make mistakes. People like what was shocking to me about it is like how painfully ordinary the conversation was. And it's not that cheating is like an ordinary thing, but it also is kind of an ordinary thing. It's a bad thing. People shouldn't do it. I'm coming out against cheating. My wife will be happy about that. Bold take. But I was just like, this is just not interesting content. It just feels like conversations that they should just be having in therapy. And instead, Ned Fulmer's like, how can I monetize this?
Right. And it's also one of those things where it's like, they're not even famous enough for people to have like this sort of like parasocial prurient interest in their lives.
I mean,
you know,
they've
like,
got enough of a cult following. The Try Guys, Ned particularly, but it's like it was 3 years ago. It's coming back now. It's like I just don't know who really was asking for it. It's not like it got crazy numbers on YouTube. Like I think when I watched it, it had like 600,000 views on YouTube, which is not like
still more viewers than I would ever want to talk about my relationship fully exploding.
It's
Hear me talk about it.
You know, it was just I just felt kind of sad because I think like the part about it is like clearly this guy Ned is desperate to regain some of the relevancy he once had. because it's like, this is what he does. He's a media figure. And I host a podcast. Like, I know, like, I wouldn't be doing this if I had no interest in some sort of like parasocial, like, fame's not the right word, nowhere close to any sort of fame, but like being relevant.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to be relevant. You work in media too. You write, you put your byline on things. You care about those sorts of things. When someone says, I love that article you wrote that, you know, is at the Fast Company Innovation Festival, like, you feel good about that.
It's true, yeah.
We all
but
like
yeah,
applause.
That moment definitely passed for him, though.
It did. And it was really sad to see him put this podcast out and try to regain that, which is ultimately his prerogative. You can do what you want to do, but I just felt bad for him and worse for her.
Grim.
Yeah.
I will say, honestly, he should have just let it lie, because the best media about the whole situation was the SNL sketch in which Brendan Gleeson is playing like a very serious reporter.
We just got a report.
You don't
One
understand.
Of the Try Guys.
She was a food baby.
She was a food baby. I don't know who that is.
The wife guy, Try Guy, has cheated on his wife. And it was great. It was so good. One of the few moments where you're like, oh yeah, SNL really had its finger on the pulse.
Yeah. Well, it was the weirdest sort of breakthrough moment of monoculture that's ever happened in my life, was the wife guy, Try Guy cheating on people. Anyways, we'll go watch Rock Bottom with Ned Fulber.
Yeah.
This is a plug. This is a paid promo. And that's it for Most Innovative Companies. David, thanks for filling in for Yaz.
Thanks for calling me up from the bench.
Our show is produced by Sam Gebauer, Hawa Atori, and Blake Odom. Editing by Matt Toder. Mix and sound design by Tad Wadhams and Nicholas Torres. And our executive producer is me. Remember again to subscribe, rate, and review, and we will see you next week.